Hello gamers out there, this is TheYuriLion, and this video is for us people suffering through Dark Souls together. For those of you that are playing offline or have leveled too much in the actual game to benefit from some of the auto-summoning options, or for those that don't like invading and screwing up people's day, this video is for you. So this video will be centered around getting higher ranks in Covenants without having online access or needing to invade other players, or certainly not waiting for hours on end until From Software actually changes their summoning procedures and level requirements. So you will need a few items, or set your character up in such a way that'll actually benefit you with high item find. You can go to Rosarias Fingers and actually up your luck a crazy amount to get that, or you can use the gold serpent ring in combination with another few items that raises your item discovery, which is very handy. Number one being the Symbol of Avarice, which you can actually get from killing mimics or throwing Lloyd's talismans apparently at them to put them asleep and cough it up. Haven't had it work for me, but very useful. However, it does drain your health quite a bit. The second item that we are talking about right now is the Crystal Sage Rapier, which, when you turn in the soul of the Crystal Sage, gives you an additional amount of item find, and it is substantial. Now, equipping this item that you might not necessarily be attacking with could be troublesome. However, something to note, it actually increases your item discovery whether or not you are currently attacking with it. So if you were to double up on that item, two-handing your primary weapon, you luckily still benefit from that item discovery. So, pretty sweet. Especially considering most of the farming you're going to want to do is going to need to be quick. You don't want to sit around attacking 40 times and dodging out of the way. If you can hit them quick, if you can knock them down fast, lovely. The last item is sold by Patches upstairs, and that is the Rusted Coin. That does increase your item discovery by 50. May not seem like a big deal, but for something you can just kind of pop on the way, walking to whatever it is you need to be farming, certainly very, very helpful. Now, this guide is intended to show quick, easy ways, items that you can get eventually. It will take a very long time to farm some of these, but that might be a nice trade-off for those of you that don't like invading other players. Our first one is Mound Makers, and for the Mound Makers, we will need Vertebra Shackles. Now, Catacombs of Karthus, whenever you go down here, there are two skeletons that are generally a little bit more intimidating at lower levels. Luckily, at high levels, not so much. You can actually utilize this rolling ball that goes down this hallway, lure them out, and actually get them to pretty much get hit by them and kill them easily. However, they tend to not be too difficult after a while, especially if you stun lock them. And they do eventually get those Vertebra Shackles. Now, this is in lieu of actually invading other worlds as a Purple Phantom. Probably one of the nicer ways to, as they actually have to summon you to their world to actually get them. So if anybody is summoning you, they're usually looking for a fight, or they're just wanting to have some fun. Either way, you can pick and choose instead of just invading and being a jerk. To actually go and turn this in, you need to go to the Pit of Hollows, where the giant tree fell down, and you can turn that in, and you will get a valuable pyromancy, as well as the Bloodlust Sword. So, pretty sweet stuff. The next covenant is Watchdogs of Farron. Now, this is one of the reasons I made this video. Is the actual summoning requirements for automatically getting summoned can make it to where waiting around for this covenant is just not a viable option. So when you do go to this area, there are 3 of these grow creatures. They can be a pain. However, using one of our little hidden rings that allow you to mask your sound, you can easily walk up and pretty much wail on them. So this actually doesn't take too long, especially increasing your item discovery, and can be a very, very quick farm. However, waiting for the actual covenant to automatically summon you can be kind of boring. So this is definitely preferable for me. I don't like sitting around for hours just to get those items, but pretty easy turn in and a good sword actually to boot. Now, the Aldrich Faithful is kind of a yuck one. You actually have to defend an invader. So, nice thing here, if you equip this helmet, just because of how long this takes, I usually put on Bountiful Light or some sort of regenerative ability. I hit that switch right before going up, and when you do that, it sends that elevator back down, because you're going to need to come back here multiple times, and you want that elevator waiting for you downstairs. Pop your coin right before the actual fire comes your way, and usually a strong one hit is recommended for these. They don't have too much health. But there are 9 of them, so the actual chances of getting this item is nice. However, you will get a lot of deacons, skirts, robes. They will blast you with fire. If you're not careful about your health, or if you don't have any sort of regenerative effect active, you might actually take a bit of damage and die. So it's very, very recommended you gotta use some caution, because these dudes suck, and you're gonna fight a lot of them. They have varying levels of health. The smaller it is, the less health they have. Bigger and fatter they are, more health. So I guess that fat adds a lot of cushion. You can also use the actual light fixtures to actually block their fire, and you can use those trees. So hugging to your right is recommended, or if you have an area of effect spell, that can be pretty sweet too. Something kind of to note here too is when farming for these actual human dregs, it actually kind of blends in with the snow. So definitely helps to just kind of run through it, just go through the snow, just to make sure. You could probably also adjust your brightness of the actual game, that might help a bit too, but it's going to feel like this. You're going to get 40 items, deacon's robes, skirts. You're going to get a lot of them. It's going to be very discouraging, but it's not like you have to get too many of them, so don't lose hope. You will eventually get those items. Whenever we actually turn this in, this is a hidden wall in this area to come down into, and there are 2 mini-bosses that are very difficult to fight. Usually if you can knock them out with another player's help, it's nice, or just kind of lure them, but you can handle it. Whenever you turn these in, you will get the Archdeacon's Greatstaff and an actual sorcery. The only kind of drawback to this is you can't kill the guy out of frustration. He's already dead. You're worshipping a corpse. Luckily, this kind of doesn't carry into your game or affect anything else. Rosarias Fingers, though. Now, this one can actually be a little bit of a pain, because you need Rosarias Fingers Clan and you need Pale Tongues, both for re-speccing your character and for leveling up the clan itself. So I've found that going into this area from behind using that special little ring that we have conceals your sound. You can walk up generally pretty close and knock these guys out relatively quickly. Now this is also a very valuable place to get cracked red eye orbs if you don't have the big one, and a lot of their gear, which is actually fantastic, especially the dark sword, which is arguably a very, very good item, just not so much for PvP due to short range. But you can turn those in, respec your character, pretty sweet. Now the Warriors of Sunlight is generally a lot more easy to get, even with, matching in different people's games. You do get summoned in pretty regularly, and there are enough people even in New Game and New Game Plus that need help with bosses for you to actually get summoned into their game. However, if for some reason you were playing offline, this might be the option you have to work with. Whenever going into Lothric Castle, there are many of these knights, and they have an incredibly low drop rate for this actual sunlight metals, but they do drop them, as well as some very fantastic gear that they have, both armor and weapons. It does help to get the first hit, but it does take a little bit of care, because they hit pretty much like a brick. I found that there's actually a bonfire earlier into the castle that has one already facing away from you. You can run up and smash the dude. You can actually use spells. They are very vulnerable to lightning, so that actually helps out a lot. Or seriously, just blast the dudes. There's so many ways to get these guys killed, and eventually they will drop a sunlight metal. So your time will be used and will be worth it. And whenever actually going here, this is next to an actual boss. All you have to do is climb some ladders, go through a window, and you actually get the Praise the Sun gesture, as well as an actual lightning spear attack. So pretty good. Notice I have quite a lot of these. I actually didn't need to farm them myself, but I wanted to kind of give a little bit of closure in this video and kind of be all-inclusive with the Covenant items, because if you don't have online access, this is kind of the route you have to take. So kind of wanted it to be a little bit more helpful. And I did kind of rank this by difficulty and in order. So coming up is the kind of the most tedious Covenant, especially until the matchmaking gets a little bit better. But it is Blade of the Dark Moons. You need Proof of Concord Kept, and guess where you get them? These lovely little silver knights. They may not be as tricky at higher levels, but certainly at lower levels it can be quite a pain. It is definitely worthwhile to use lightning. Keep some health potions ready, pop those coins. You don't want to be doing this very long, but it will take a lot of kills. You will eventually get them, though. It's about 1 in 50 chance. Something to note, I use Dragon Slayer Great Axe for doing this, or anything with like a high crit, anything you could pop behind him, but backing up right before that asshole charges at you, very good option, because you can sneak up behind, do a critical attack. If you actually have the Hornet Ring, you can increase that damage, and you can actually kill him with one hit. The second guy, about 2 steps forward, if you power up an attack, you can kind of get in on him before he swings on you. So you'll find your own little groove and your own timing for it. Now this actual covenant, I assume you actually know where this is, otherwise you wouldn't be looking at how to farm the actual ingredients. But from the Anorlando bonfire, you can walk across this invisible platform. And that is where you find her. A very, very friendly NPC. However, due to the stress and the length of time you'll be taking to actually farm these goodies, you may be a little bit upset with her, even though she's one of the kindest NPCs that is actually out here, and she even asks you some pretty fun questions like, how did you get here? Are you a bird? So, I like her a bunch. However, considering all the stress it took, I did decide to kill her out of frustration, because she actually also drops the Yorshka Chime, which, in complete Dark Souls style, very nice NPC, very sweet, but you have to kill everybody or murder people just to get something worthwhile, so. Yep. Bye. No, I certainly felt like a monster after doing so, but as you did notice, I did leave a candlelight vigil for her. I surrounded the entire area and decorated her invisible bridge with the silver shields that she forced me to have to farm for hours and hours on end, so I'm sure she feels a little better. But this is TheYuriLion. Hope this helped. Have a wonderful day, and hey, thanks for watching.